welcome and thank you so much for that introduction. I appreciate that. Congratulations to UAB for their postseason basketball for men and women. Can we get a round of applause for that? So I'm old school. I didn't trust putting it on my phone and do the flipping. I had to print my stuff out and look at it, okay? But I just want to, first, you heard the introduction. So although I'm athletic administrator, I really zero in on leadership, okay? Because leadership and mindset, that's what I really work with my athletic administrators, my clients and whatnot. Because I like to say is lead your ship. And the first thing you need to be conscious of is who is really leading your ship. Are you doing it to impress anybody, to keep everybody happy? Are you letting society guide you? That's like the first question I ask. And then I get the skill set. In the middle of that, I can determine whether you have a mind of a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. So although you're like, I don't like sports, I don't follow sports, I'm really a leadership strategist who happen to work in athletic administration. So I just want to let you know we're family in here, okay, all right? And so I won't be before you long, but I want to be able to say a couple of things, okay? Before I do that, I want to tell you why I concentrate on the mindset piece. So how many people are familiar with the CIAA? Okay, all right. So I want, because one of the things that wasn't in the bio piece per se is the fact that I became a sports information director very early, straight out of college for St. Paul's College, a SID. I was the first female SID in the CIAA. Very few women. I would go to COSADA National Convention. There'd be like 5 women and only 2 black women, okay? So there's some pressures that go along with that you're probably not familiar with. But I was blessed to have the very first female athletic director in the CIAA be my boss. But then you fast forward, she passed away. I become athletic director, interim athletic director at 28. 28. I don't even know what I don't know. You know what I mean? And then I went through divorce, and then I went to the conference office, and I'm like, all these women are looking for me to lead. I can't let anything look vulnerable. So because of that, and let's be clear, in the 90s, mental health was not a conversation. Okay, so I just want to give you that background. The rest of the story is in the book back there. It's called Public Figure Mass Exit Stage Left, and it's in a book anthology called Removing the Face. And number 2 I want to say is that the magazines you mentioned, the cover features an Alabamian woman whose father now those who went to UNAB, hopefully I get this name wrong. I know his last name is Spear. I think his first name is Lonnie. But he's in the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame, but he was a famous player here. And his daughter lives in Alabama, and she's a lawyer. So she's on the cover with me on the next magazine. So hopefully I'll get the chance to meet you at the table. If not, please meet me on LinkedIn. Okay? So I just want to give a deep dive into what brings me joy. That's planting seeds of empowerment to lead others to greatness. And as you heard, my company is called Seeds of Empowerment. So I'm here at the PADMA Awards. See how it all goes together, which is a flower. So it's fitting that I was asked to bring the message, blossom where you're planted. Blossom where you're planted. But before I talk about blossoming, I need to talk about being planted, all right, being rooted. And if you study plants, you remember that they go through changes before they become beautiful. And those lessons are staying power, curiosity, courage to stand out and grow even when it's uncomfortable. Even when it's uncomfortable. So when we talk about being planted, again, we talk about that staying power. Because many people may not be into plants, but you know about staying power. It's like that tree planted by the water that has that unresolving piece, I'm not going to move. The roots run deep, and you're anchored in your convictions, and it gives us that strength to weather any storm. So I want to explore the 3 stays, if you will, okay? The first stay is stay curious. So, just like this sacred lotus flower, named after Padma, it blooms every day, no matter what. It blooms every day, no matter what. So it must remain open, curious, eager to expand their horizons. It embraces that growth mindset that sees possibilities where others see setback. It's about being intentional about our outlook, ensuring our thoughts and actions are positive and purposeful. This is what I teach my clients about growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Fixed mindset says, this is just how we do it. Now, how many people heard that? This is just the way we do it. We're successful this way. We've always done it this way. In contrast, growth mindset says, have we considered? You might want to write that down. Because if you're in a meeting, you're going like, this doesn't make any sense. How do I say this without being uncomfortable? Have we considered? See, that's just not saying that was a dumb idea. That's just saying, have we considered? You know, I'm from the South. Y'all further south than me, but there's some Southern tones that we have learned in our lives, you know. Yes, my mother-in-law used to do that. Have you considered? I said, she's trying to tell me how to do blank, blank, blank. And so, when we look at that, it makes us see a door of opportunity where others see a wall. Actually, I have a whole workshop on that. Is that a wall or is that a door of opportunity? Just pretend right there that doesn't have a knob right there. Could you see a knob right there if it was not there? That's what the world is looking for. Let me just share this with you. The world is looking for rookie smarts. They're looking for people who can see possibilities. Remember when you first started working, it was nothing for somebody to tell you no. You were a no meant not yet. You were going to figure it out. You didn't have any kind of fear. That's what rookie smarts is. And it's actually a book called this, Rookie Smarts. They're looking for that. And I'm telling you that, and I want you to hear me clearly, because just because you've been someplace for 12 years and you think you should be owed that next position, if you don't have that rookie smart, that seasoned mind is not going to be good for the taste, if you know what I mean. You can be put out the pasture. Because I've told you. And I heard it like this weekend. And I was like, she don't understand. You know, I can do so-and-so and so-and-so. I said, yeah, but they can do it with one hit. And you need to recognize that. Do you need to watch some YouTubes? You know, do you need to pay? Because you don't have to go get a full education to learn how to do something. You can go to one little webinar online. I'm going to just give you this one little tidbit. AI. If you don't know what that means you need to do some reading. Okay? All right. So, and put this to mind too. If you don't believe me, think on these things. Uber Eats. How many restaurants have you seen close? Netflix said, bye-bye to Blockbuster. Amazon. I was just thinking about the other day, is that why there are no more 7-Elevens? Because they're not the real convenience store? Amazon's the real convenience store. And then lastly, and I don't mean to give any bad pains, online degrees. So you better, what? Stay curious. Don't have that fixed mindset. Because I'm going to be real honest with you. Athletics right now is real hard. It's real fluid. I teach sports law at Hampton University. I taught one thing in January. I had to earn all that back because the court said that the NCAA could not penalize a school for using NIL for inducement to get you to come to school. And I had the kids do this whole project. I want you to do a project for your high school and tell your high school what NIL, because you know the high schools don't really know, so they won't have any kind of problems. I said, well, you had a real good time playing with Canva, didn't you? Because, it's not even necessary. So I could, and I am. I'm understanding that I'm 30 years in. I started in 1990. I actually started before even as a student. But the way I see things is because I've been ingrained that way. I've been socialized. And it's not going to be me that comes with the answer of how this is going to work. It's going to be a young person that maybe I've trained in the basics, but they're going to say, well, have we considered? And that's how we're going to deal with the NILs, which is off the hook, all right? The portal, the possibility of having student athletes as employees. I can't even see it. So that's why I remain as a consultant. You gotta know your abilities, because I'd be really frustrated. But because I stay open-minded and I learn, I can help and plant that seed with other people. So that's the first thing, stay curious. Second one, stay out the weeds. Stay out the weeds. I grew up on 40 acres, but we rented the land, okay? But my father, who was a school teacher, assistant principal, he loved to plant, and so I'm thinking I'm gonna be with my daddy, I'm my only child. And I'm thinking I'm gonna help my daddy. I was pulling up weeds and the good stuff. He said, baby girl, I don't need your help. And come get this girl. Well, I say that to say good things and bad things grow in the same place. And you got to be able to discern it, okay? And so, and I know my triggers. I've learned over the years. My mother and my husband may watch every court. Who is the dad, mama, baby? I don't even know how to even say it. When I hear that, I'm going like, I'll catch y'all later. I don't listen to that. I definitely don't watch no Jerry Springer and foolishness. And my mother, she is so funny. She'll watch that show where you go in and you see how much, what you call it, the pawn shop. Yeah, and so I know she's watching. I'll be upstairs and I hear beep, 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 beep. You know what the beep, beep, beep means, right? Y'all looking real confused. People are cursing on the TV and they beep them, beep them, beep them, beep them. And she just loves that. I'm like, oh, this is so unhealthy, mama. Well, I think it's entertaining. And she's 86, so in her mind, she can, whatever she wants to do at this time, she's gonna do it. But she can and I can't. The only shopping I would do with her is the bookstore. So what happened yesterday? QVC box right at my house. Look, she stayed curious. She figured out how to get what she wanted, did she not? But with the weeds, we must be alert to the difference. In the words of Joel Osteen, we call him the smiling preacher, he says, If we find ourselves among the weeds, we must become active gardeners, pulling up the roots of negativity and doubt that threaten to choke our optimism. So you're wondering, but I don't garden. What you talking about? Well, let me give you examples of what kind of garden I'm talking about. We're talking about the water cooler. We're talking about the news feeds, which now you can call the news weeds. Okay? Next time you look at it, Miss Smith said, Monique said, these the seeds. No. I said these are the weeds. These are the weeds that you find yourself in. You know how you know? Because you can't stroll off. You get stuck. You know what I mean? And so you gotta be cautious of your intake. News outlets, music. I try to listen to gospel music because I know if I stomp my toe, the last thing I heard, I want to be wholesome. Because she and I back there talking, and it was something we would normally say something else, and I said, "Oh, sugar girl," you see how that just comes out? I only have to stumble. So, and people can know your spirit and see your fruit when you practice that. You see, so. And let me just give you another tidbit, because again, I taught sports marketing. Marketers and social media, they bet on that. They bet on, y'all probably, when I say this, earworms. How many people have ever heard the word earworms? Okay, we got some educated, curious people out here. This is great. So they plant stuff with you, and you don't even know why you want some golden arches French fries. Because you heard the song, do 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 do. It went from your ears to your stomach to your head, and you didn't do anything. So you got to be real cautious of your intake and then your actions after that. Okay? So to protect your intake, you got to know what your triggers are, and you got to be on manual and not auto. Okay? So what we're going to do now, we're going to stay curious. We're going to stay out the weeds. And my favorite, stay in the seeds. So I think seeds are reeds. And so I love to read. Books are my friend. My mother's retired librarian. My father was the English teacher. I'm an only child, so books are my best friend. My husband says, you need to get rid of some of your friends. No, there's a little cartoon on Facebook now. There's a little girl being the little fat little, the cartoon picture, and he's holding her back. But I don't have that one. He said, yeah, that is you. So, exposure to new ideas, perspectives is crucial for growth, whether through books, conversation, or experiences. Staying in the seeds allows you to nurture your mind and change your perspective. Here is a nugget. If you want to influence someone, give them a book with the same message that you would tell them. Because if you tell them, they might become resentful. But if you give them the book, they take ownership of it. It becomes their thoughts. And so, plant the seed with them. So recap, stay curious, stay out the weeds, and stay in the seeds. I'm about to say stay in the reeds. Stay in the seeds. So now that we got through the staying power and being rooted, now we're talking about being beautiful. How to blossom. Did you consider what it takes to be beautiful? Now, women know, when you get your hair done, how long it takes. You get your eyebrows waxed, the hurt you go through. There's some discomfort. Am I right, ladies? Everybody doing like this. But you go through it because you know what the outcome's going to be. So, while we got the staying power established, We're ready to stand out and to grow, even when it means stepping out of our comfort zones. It's natural to want to resist discomfort. It says, no, 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 that's not a good thing. I told someone the other day, I said, you're going to let your feelings direct you, or you're going to use your brain to, because you can decide if you're paying attention. So you want to blend in rather than stand out. And there's some research out here that tells you, like in the 3rd grade, girls begin to want to blend in and try to dumb themselves down. We got to work on that. You know, we got to make it normal to just be you, like a beautiful flower. And here's the whole point. That's why my thing is called a garden. A garden has more than one type of flower. So that's, and then they feed off of each other. So if you're a person that's like, okay, I don't want to stand out, but guess what? If you don't stand out, this person over here is not going to live, and this person right here is not going to live. So do it for others. If you can get them to understand that, you got a win-win. And so, but true growth requires to embrace the discomfort, to lean into it, and to blossom despite it. For example, let's look at an Alabama native daughter, Nell Harper Lee, a native of Monroeville, Alabama, who penned the iconic novel To Kill a Mockingbird. In the face of a divided nation in turbulent times, Lee dared to shine a light on the injustice of society, challenging readers to see the world through a different lens. She wrote the book To Kill a Mockingbird in 1960. It became a movie in 1962. The movie actually won an Oscar, and the book sold over 40 million copies. See, her father was a lawyer in a small town in Alabama. So she took her experiences as a young girl in a small Alabama town and wrote this novel. So in the novel, the lawyer, the fictional lawyer, is tasked with saving a black man of wrongly accused of assaulting a young white woman in a small town in Alabama in 1930. Now remember, the book was written in 1960. Both times were turbulent in American history. There's a few famous quotes that I use from the book and the movie that I use when I teach communication styles or a workshop I call Walking in Her Shoes, trying to get people to understand each other. When I tried to create a synergy among units on a university. It's a father and daughter conversation about the behaviors of others. And the father says, you never understand a person until you consider from their point of view, until you climb into their skin and walk around in it a bit. Until you climb into their skin and walk around in it a bit. So it's not just to understand where they're coming from or try to. It really is, what do they see on their journey? How do other people see them? And that's the part, even if we're not even talking about the story lens here, I mean, it just could be like two women working together. And she's got children, and you don't. And, you think it's okay to have a meeting at a certain time. But she's got to go doom, 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 doom. So have you walked into her skin to see what she has? Now maybe she might even tell you. She might even tell you she has children because she does not want to be left out. So she doesn't even share anything about her family. These are things you must consider. So that's the differences and that's the powerfulness. But the key thing is the book keeps on giving. Just this month in Richmond, they had a play called Kill a Mockingbird. It's 2024. Now you can't tell me that story don't have staying power and we still looking and looking at it and it's still telling the story. So what I'm saying is the author was willing to be uncomfortable. She stayed curious and blossomed in the face of adversity. It's a testament to her staying power and growth. So as we navigate our journeys, let us remember to bloom where we're planted, to embrace staying power, to be willing to be uncomfortable. For it's in those moments of discomfort that we truly grow and blossom to the best versions of ourselves. In light of my motto, planting seeds, I would like to plant this copy. My mother was like, why you getting that book? Don't you have that book? I said, yes, Mother, I had a book. So I want to plant this copy to Kill a Mockingbird with the youngest awardee for today. May this read take root with you and allow you to blossom right where you are planted here at UAB. Thank you, and I look forward to connecting with each of you all in the back or on LinkedIn. Again, thank you so very much for the opportunity to serve UNAB. Thank you.
Thank you, Monique. Thank you very much for that message. I so needed to hear that today.